prison in our minds, being held there. Amen. And God wants to set us free, but maybe at another time we'll do this, okay? Go with me to 1 Kings 17. That second song that it talked about being able to go to sleep. Amen. Because if you're able to go to sleep, then you have to trust God, whatever the situation or circumstances that you are going through right now.
Yes, Lord.
He's a God that we can trust. We might not be able to trust anybody else, but we can trust God.
Amen. Amen.
And in this 17th chapter, bear with me, okay? Because I don't have no notes or no nothing. But I know that our God is a provider, amen?
Yes.
What he says that he is able to do. And even though we may not understand or know how he's going to do it, our God is able to do what needs to be done in our lives.
Yes.
And I want us to know today that he's faithful.
Glory.
Whatever he has said that he will do, he will bring it to pass. Amen?
Amen.
Thank you, God. And it's dealing with Elijah. Elijah had ran away. And I'm going to begin, let's begin at the 5th verse, and I'll take a couple verses out of there, and then I want to get down to the woman with a little bit of oil and the little bit of meal. Show us that we can trust God. God don't need a whole lot to bless us with the sufficiency that we need in our lives. Amen?
Yes.
Just a little bit. And some of us see the little bit, and we cannot see the big bit that God can bring out of the little bit. All right, the 5th verse. And here he's telling Elijah. He says, so he went and did according unto the word of the Lord. For he went and dwelled by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. And here he has ran. Now he doesn't have any food or anything. And God tells him that he wants him to go to this certain place. And he wants him to go there. But I love it about Elijah. He doesn't ask him any questions. How is he going to get the food when he get there? What is he going to do when he get there? Most of the time we want to know before we get there what's going to be there when we get there.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we start looking afar off, and if we don't see it afar off, then we're discouraged when we get there.
Yep.
But if we learn how to have faith in God and to trust God like the man of God here is doing.
That's true.
And the verse 6 says, and the ravens brought him bread and flesh in the morning, and bread and flesh in the evening. And he drunk of the brook.
Yeah.
Now, I ask myself a lot of questions. How in the world does God talk to a bird?
Jesus.
And the bird can understand what God tells him.
Yes.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want you to take Elijah some bread, and I want you to take him some flesh. Now, where in the world does he get the bread from? The bird can't make the bread, can he?
Amen.
But I believe God got some woman somewhere that's baking that bread and have set it on the window ledge. Okay? And the bird has come and taken some of that bread. Why? Because she knows that what God has for her. And then some say, well, how can that be? Well, you remember when Jesus said that he needed the donkey to come into Jerusalem, right? You remember that?
Yeah.
And he said that, how is the man going to know? He said, you tell him that I have need of it. And if you tell him that I have need of it, the man will allow the donkey to go. Ain't God amazing?
Yes.
He's always ahead of us, and we're trying to figure him out. He has already figured it out.
Yes.
And here we are. All we got to do is follow instructions. Amen?
Yes. Amen.
But when I think about that and what we are going through in our life, how many of you here got a need in your life? That you
Yes, I do. I know it. Yes.
Don't you think that God has forgotten you 1 minute? He's working on your situation as long as you keep faith in him, long as you are obedient unto his word. God is moving on your situation. So you got to trust him. But it don't look like it.
Amen.
Anybody ever had deadlines?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, Lord.
They said, look, the 20th of this month, if you don't have your payment, hello somebody, we're coming to get that furniture back from you.
Oh, yes.
But you've been faithful. Hear me what I'm saying. You've been faithful. You've given your time. You've been in Sunday school. You have been in Bible study. You've been faithful and witnessing for him, walking upright before him.
Jesus.
And he said that when you do that, no good thing would I withhold from you. Now, I'm going to bless you. And here it comes. Now, what we said, the 20th of the month. Then that store closed 5 o'clock. Here it is, 4:45, and you ain't got nothing. Now you walking the floor. Lord, you said that you were going to bless me, and Lord, ain't nothing happened yet. You said, my God, when are you going to do this thing? Now, Elijah trusted God that a raven could bring flesh and then could bring him bread. Now, why can't you trust God for 15 minutes? And he got to walking, man. And I know some of y'all walk so much that the carpet in your house has got a pan running right down there. Oh, my God.
Jesus.
1 minute before 5. You're in a tizzy now. Good Lord of mercy. And looking out the window to see if the truck's coming.
Yeah.
You get a call 30 seconds before 5 o'clock. The rental center calls and says, somebody paid your rent.
Hallelujah.
Thank you,
Good
Jesus.
God Almighty.
But you couldn't trust him those 15 minutes. You were 10. But he said that I'll supply all your need according unto my riches and glory. Now, if he can tell a raven to bring Elijah food, surely he can have somebody say and pay your bill.
Praise God.
When you walked up right before him. How many of you know what prove God is?
Yes.
You know what prove God is?
Yes.
It's when you take his word. He said, I'll supply all your needs.
Yes.
You need to take that word right back to him. And you said, now I've walked upright. Didn't you remember the man that was going to die? And it says that God said, get your house in order. So the man of God, the king, turned to the wall and he read his resume to God. And he told him what he had done for him. And it says that God said, Isaiah, go back and tell him that I'm going to add 15 years to his life. Why? Because he believed in me. He walked upright for me. He kept my commandment. He tore down the altar that the men of God that worship other gods. He tore all that down. Now I'm going to bless him.
Yes. Thank you. My Lord.
Now let me ask you a question today. What you said your situation is, right? If a bird, let's say a blue jay,
All right.
would fly on your shoulder when you go out this door. And say, God said it's already done what you asked him for. Would you believe it? Oh, no, you couldn't believe them bird. But listen at me, the way God moves and works, and there you got your friend along with you. And the bird talk to you, but your friend ain't gonna understand what the bird is saying. Nobody but you understand what the bird is saying. You hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
God is able to do that which nobody else is able to do. And he wants us to see it in his word. Why you limit me how I can do something?
Thank you, Lord.
I think about that. I said, that woman, somebody had to put that bread out there for that raven to get, huh?
Yes.
And then the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, and then he goes and gets the flesh, and he feeds Elijah by the brook. Some of y'all are Elijah. You've been run out, talked about, left alone, nobody else there to help. And you said, Lord, what about me? Don't you care about me? He said, son, I've never forgotten about none of you in here. He said, I know that when the sparrow hits the ground, I know when it goes. Aren't you much more than a sparrow when he made you in his likeness and in his image? That he cares about you because he put part of himself on the inside of you. He cares about you. How many times have you felt like God didn't care about you? God forgotten about you. But he said, I've never forgotten about you. Now, if you read down in this verse just a little bit farther, you'll find that the brook now dries up. And the ravens don't bring you no more food now. No more bread and no more flesh. What do you do now? Huh? Some of you are right there right now. If God don't move in your behalf, you're not going to make it. And then he comes to Elijah, and he tells Elijah, he said, Elijah, I got a woman that has a need in her life. And she's going to supply the food that you need to survive. It said he goes on a fast, and he goes for a period of time. And it reaches the woman. I think about the 12th verse and so he reaches that woman and he says, now this woman, I used to have some in here, got a little bit of oil and a little bit of meal. That's all she got. Now why would God tell Elijah that woman is going to take care of you? Now listen what the woman says when Elijah asked her to make him a cake. He said, this little bit of oil and this little, that's all we got. Said, I'm going to make me and my son a cake, and we're going to eat it and die. In other words, her hope was all gone. She didn't have no hope left. It's empty now. I can't see nothing. This is it. There's a famine in the land, and there's no more food to be brought. In your life, there might be a famine in your life right now, but God can bring food among the famine when there is nothing there.
Yes, he will.
Now, God can't lie, can he?
No.
That's what I'm saying. If you take the word back to him, he can't lie. So God told Elijah, said the woman is going to feed you. And she tells him, she said, I ain't got but a little bit, so I'm going to bake this for me and my son, and we are going to eat this cake and we're going to die. Now, what would you do? You and your son. This little bit of oil, you're going to make a cake. You know that's all you got. And you're going to bake that cake. This is what in your mind. You're going to eat that cake. And not many days after that, you and your son is going to die. Then here comes a man of God. And tells you, said, first, listen what it said. First, before you try to eat in it, I want you to make me a cake. Now, hold a minute. This is all we got. You can't get 5 cakes out of this little cake that we got here. But trust in what God said. When God started and told the ravens, from the time of the raven, when he told Elijah, said, I got a woman that's going to feed you when you get there.
Thank you, Lord.
And this is what I'm saying. If you are obedient, God can take little and make it much.
Lord, yes.
Amen. You remember with the fish and the loaves? Huh? The disciples were confused. We don't have but this. You got 5,000 people here. We can't feed 5,000 with these little fish and these little bit of loaves. How can you do this thing? Because you don't know who the God that we serve.
Oh, thank you.
And what I like about it, he said when he got done, took up 12 baskets of fragments. How in the world do you get 12 with 2 loaves and those 2 little fish? How in the world? What I'm failing us to see is we don't know how great a God that we serve. Our mind cannot fathom. David said it's too high for me. I cannot contain up to it. You can't understand who God is. He'll blow your mind if you try to figure him out who he really is.
My Lord.
Now here's this woman. She got to make a decision. Here you are. You got to make a decision in your life now. Now I'm just hypothetically using something, okay? You got $20 in your pocket. 2 cents, okay? You know you got an electric bill, and I'm putting you in the place of the woman that got to be paid. I come and I said, the Lord said, give me that $20 bill. Some of you would give me some expression, wouldn't you? Huh?
Tell me.
Right. The Lord got to tell you. And some of you, the Lord got to pull it out of your hand because you ain't letting it go.
Oh my God.
But hear me what I'm saying. If we learn how to trust God, if we learn how to have faith in God, when God speaks to us, God will perform that which he speaks.
Amen. Yes, he will.
I might get one of you to give me the 20. But then you know what happens? The one that gets the 20 walks outside there, and there, her electric bill is $80. There's four $20 bills. Lord, ain't the God that we serve able to meet every need in your life? I don't know how I got there. I don't know who lost it. But you know what I like to do? I like to go back and ask, did anybody lose anything? And you can't find nobody that lost nothing. There ain't but one person could have brought that angel had to bring the 420 down. Oh my Lord, look at that. Ain't that God that we serve?
Yes.
Because of obedience.
Yes.
Now if that woman had kept that little bit of oil and that little bit of meal in that famine, she was going to perish. But she was obedient. And through her obedience, the blessing came. And let's look down a little further and see what it says about the oil. I'm not going to hold you very long. All right, I'll start at verse 16. And she went and did according to the saying of Elijah. And she and he and her house did eat many days. Now listen to verse 16. And the barrel of meal wasted not, neither did the curse of all fail. In other words, it lasted throughout the famine. It doesn't say how long that the famine was. But can you imagine it? Just that little bit of oil in there, and you go back there every day and reach down there and pull out some of that oil, get some of that flour, and it never goes away. How many know you serve an awesome God today?
Yes.
How many of you can trust him today?
Thank you, Lord. Yes. Thank you, Jesus.
Well, let me ask you this. How many of you are from Missouri? Oh, come on here. You got a lot of y'all from Missouri now. Huh? You got to show me. And to show me, you'll never get the blessings of God.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
That song said, close your eyes tonight and sleep. Some of y'all ain't sleeping good.
That's right.
Huh? Night all ain't it. But trust in God that he's going to bring it to pass in your life. Like that woman, that little bit of oil and that little bit of meal brought it to pass. And I love something that David said. David said, I will both
Lay down
lay me down
in peace
in peace and what?
and sleep.
How many of you sleep in peace? We're doing something. Well, not the VA is doing something because a lot of the veterans with the PTSD are having a lot of problems. Okay, so they watch us at nighttime to see what you do. And some of them stop breathing 20 and 30 times a night. Some of them start at the foot of the bed, and when they end up, they're at the head of the bed.
Yes.
That's how some of y'all don't even sleep at night. You wake up, you're still just as tired it is before you lay down. Why? You gotta trust God in your circumstances. You wrestle with that circumstance all night long and it ain't doing nothing but wind you up. And you get up in that morning and say, my God, I feel just like I ain't even went to bed. You didn't really go to bed.
No.
You toss and turn all night long. But God said, I want to give you rest.
Ah, glory. Glory.
I want to give you peace. And I want to give you sleep.
My God.
Glory.
Isaiah 23:6 says, I will keep you in what?
Perfect peace.
Whose mind is what?
Stayed on me.
Why?
Because you
Because you trust in the Lord thy God. Trusting means you gotta, just like that's what that woman done when she didn't have no. Some of you where you at now, you gotta trust him.
Amen.
Just keep walking.
Amen.
And this woman was blessed in such a way that her needs were met in her lives. And like that song said,
Ah, thank you, Lord.
he'll supply all our needs according to his riches and glory. But we gotta believe him, we gotta trust in him.
Yes.
And James says something that if you doubt in your heart, don't believe that you shall receive anything of the Lord.
That's right.
But my God, if you trust in him,
Yes, God.
he can bring it to pass in your life.
Thank you,
My Lord.
How many believe you serve a super God today?
Yes. Thank the Lord. Yes.
That song we used to sing about an awesome God.
Lord. Yes. Yes.
I tell you, we serve an awesome God today. His power has not changed, amen.
Amen.
He's able to do what he did for this little woman here, he's able to do in your life.
Same thing, yes.
Today, I want you to be encouraged, whatever you're going through. I want you to trust God. Take his word and take his word back to him. And let him know that you're being faithful, that you're trusting him. And I guarantee you, if you trust him, just like he delivered with Elijah,
Yes, God.
he'll deliver in your life.
Yes.
Now imagine this. You baked the bread and got it in the window, letting it cool. And that raven
Thank you,
come
Lord.
and take your bread. You'd have a fit with that. That no good bird.
Yes, I would. Yes, I
But listen, hold it, man. Listen now. But you got a need in your life, right? Just saying. Your son or your daughter been missing, ain't called home for about 2 years. You get a knock at the door and you get a telegram. And your son or your daughter say, Mom, Dad, I know I haven't been writing or calling, but I'm okay. Wouldn't it worth that sacrifice that you did?
Yes, Lord. Yes. Yes.
But just being obedient, look what God can do in your life. You want something from God, be obedient unto him. And he'll meet the needs that you have in your life.
Thank you, Lord.
Now, is anybody, don't put your hand, anybody besides me like the Shunammite woman? She had a need.
Lord.
She knew that death was near because there was no more food to be kept. I tell you something. I had a bottle of perfume, right? Not perfume, cologne. Let me take that back. Cologne. Let me get that back. And it seemed like the more I took out of it, the more came in it.
All right. All right.
And you know what I thought about? I thought about this Shunammite woman. How she's going in that barrel and every day. Reach down there, there's enough food in there.
All right.
And what I love about God, he didn't fill the barrel all the way up to the top with the oil and with the meal. Because if he did, she'd lost her faith.
Amen.
But every day, all he needed was enough to go down there and get enough to make that cake for her and son.
Amen.
And I think about that a lot. Because that cologne lasted for so long, I said, my Lord. Maybe God's just steady putting it in when I don't hello somebody.
All right.
Yes, that could be, yeah.
That's right. Trust and believe. Trust and believe.
Today, be faithful to him. And like Elijah, and like the Shunammite woman, God meets the needs that in your life. You got is there anybody in here that has a need?
Amen.
Because I'm going to tell you something. You folks are not desperate. When you get desperate, you do desperate things. Some of y'all is just as calm and cool, collectible. You ain't got no need.
If you trust the Lord, that's what you're supposed to.
That's what you're supposed to, right? If you trust him like the woman with the little bit of meal and a little bit of all, he'll meet those needs. If you trust him like that. I didn't always trust him.
I trust him. I've learned to trust him.
Right. You see, look, y'all see this here? Anybody see? I know none of y'all ain't got none of this, okay? But you know why I got a lot of this? Because I didn't trust him.
All right. All right.
But once I learned to trust him, different story.
All right.
Another, and there's one scripture says that the gray hair is a sign of wisdom. But and that ain't mine. Hello, somebody.
A little bit of it, Pastor. A little bit.
Little bit. That man told me, he said, I see a little bit of dark in yours. I said, well, I don't see that. But learning to trust who God is.
Amen.
Amen? I want you to hold on to the Shunammite woman. When your things get in your life get so close that you feel like it's not going to work out, I want you to trust God that God is going to meet the needs that you have in your life today. And you don't sing them songs for nothing, amen? Amen. I love you today.
Yes, we love you too.